Hello there, friends and followers, and welcome to this Explain 11 video. We are currently situated at Düsseldorf Airport in Germany, and today we're going to be doing a full flight aboard the Flight Factor 767 due to popular demand. The Boeing 767 by Flight Factor is probably one of the most advanced aircraft in Explain 11 in terms of system simulation, and today we're going to be taking the aircraft for a short flight to Frankfurt. We're going to be cruising at approximately 23,000 feet, and our approximate flight time is 30 minutes. So without further ado, let's get started. Let us begin by taking a look at the updated electronic flight bag by Flight Factor. And this new tab here is a brand new tab, the in-flight tab. They've organized the PA charts and checklists here. The charts is a brand new feature which gives you real-time access to Navigraph. You will need a Navigraph account for this feature to work. I really like this feature a lot because it gives you access to all the airport charts, including approach plates, arrivals, departures, and taxi information. It also has a moving map. So these maps actually, you will see that this icon here, this is the aircraft, will actually move as the aircraft moves. So that's very good. And you can actually move the map the way you like, and you can zoom in and you can zoom out. Very, very useful, very usable, and very user-friendly. As far as the checklists are concerned, and we are going to be using checklists today, you have the normal way of doing the checklist. In this mode, you will need to simply go and do the stuff that you need to do and use this as a reference of what's next. If you use the amplified version, it will go in sequence and highlight the stuff that you need to do, and it will turn it into green if you've done that item successfully, or red if you haven't done it successfully. This is for the abnormal checklist, and you can also use auto perform if you're unfamiliar with this aircraft and you kind of need to see how things are done. Then you can use the auto perform feature. For the purpose of our flight today, we're going to be using the amplified version. Let us begin now setting up the aircraft. We're going to go to General here. We're going to make sure that real time is unticked, otherwise the alignment of the RSs will take a long time, and everything else here looks good. We're going to go to Operations, Ground Operations. We're going to make sure the stairs, fuel truck, and the passenger bus are selected, and we're going to edit our passenger count here. We have 115 passengers today on board, and we need about 18,000 pounds of fuel for the flight. Enter, and we're going to say optimize CG. Alright, so the center of gravity has been optimized automatically. Alright, we're going to go ahead and go to the airplane where you need to open some doors. You don't have to open all the doors. And head back to ground and say load the airplane. As you can see now, it says loading the plane, please wait. Alright. We are going to head over to the checklist, and we're going to go to the amplified checklist, and we're going to begin powering up the aircraft. This is the power up checklist. First thing first, battery is on, and as you can see, as you perform the operations here, you're going to see this item is now highlighted in green, indicating that you have done the right step for this particular checklist. Standby power to auto. Electrical power establish. So we just need to verify, and we can verify that the power has been established. We click that, it turns to green. Bus tie switches to auto, and the APU generator is on, and now we can turn the APU selector to the start position. There we go, and the power up checklist is complete, and we're just going to wait for the APU now to become available. Alright, the APU is now available, and let's go ahead and go to the next checklist, preliminary pre-flight. And as you can see, we need to set our IRSs to nav mode. Alright, and that is done. Status display is checked. We're just going to go ahead and put this here. We're going to cancel the caution light here, verify quantities. The quantities are checked. We have 18,000 pounds of fuel, and so this is good. And now on to the CDU pre-flight. Now what we're going to do, we're not going to do this one by one. I'm going to complete programming the FMC, and then we'll head over here and just check all these items. So let's go to the FMC. We're going to verify that we have the latest AIRAC database, which is 1813. It was made available yesterday. We'll go to position initialization, and we're going to select our origin airport, which is Dusseldorf, Echo Delta Delta Lima. And we're just going to select this GPS position here, and we're going to go to our route. The origin is Dusseldorf Airport, destination is Frankfurt Echo Delta Delta Foxtrot, and today we are Lufthansa 369. Oops, we put that in the wrong spot. Goes there. Activate and execute. We're going to go to the departures, and we're going to today depart runway 23 left through the Col 5 Tango departure. And we're going to say execute. We're going to go back to the index. There are no waypoints in our short route to Frankfurt, so we're simply going to select our arrival. Our arrival today is the Roll 07 Sierra, this one here, and we're going to select ILS 07 right for our approach into Frankfurt, and we're going to say execute. And we're just going to take a look at the legs page, make sure there's one disco here from Rolls to Cole. Normally there is a waypoint Tango 150, but it's not valid for this particular AIRAC database. Execute, and we can now take a quick look at our flight plan to make sure that there are no strange things going on as we arrive. So we're going to switch this to plan. And now we can step through. So we're going to step through. That's our departure airport. And that's the SID. And that's Cole. That's Rolls. That's the beginning of our star into Frankfurt. And then we're going to come here and do this nice rectangle shape movement until we intercept the localizer and the ILS to runway 07 right at Frankfurt. So everything's looking good. We're going to now head back to the performance page. So performance initialization, zero fuel is set, reserves is 2.4, and our cruise altitude today is 21,000 feet, and cost indexed is 25. Takeoff, we're going to do flaps 5 for departure. Center of gravity gives us 2.2 trim. We're going to click here so that we get our V speeds. V1 is 118, V rotate is 125, and V2 is 136. Pre-flight is now complete, and we are ready to go. So we're going to set this to the legs page, and we're going to set this FMC to Econ Climb. And now we can continue with our checklist. So we're going to come into CDU pre-flight. All of this stuff is done. That's done. Initial zero fuel, takeoff. Everything is set, and that is also set. And now the CDU pre-flight checklist is complete. We're going to go to pre-flight controlling checklist now. The yaw damper switches need to go on, so we're going to click here. Hydraulic panel, check the system press lights, they are on, and that's the pressure lights. And left and right engine pump switches we need to turn on, so this is the left and right. What did I do here? Let's see. Left and right engine pump switches need to go on. We've turned them on, so what's going on here? Alright, let's see here. That's all checked. Utility bus switches are on. Generator control switches are on. That's done. Emergency light switch is armed. There we go. Passenger oxygen light is on, checked. Wording, do not push, yeah, that's fine. Ram turbine unlock light, verify, and it is verified, it's fine. Engine start selectors to auto, so we're going to switch both these switches to auto. Position light is on, and it is on now. Let's see, wing light switch as needed. We don't need it right now. All the landing lights should be turned off, which they are. Window heat, left window heat is on, so that's fine. And right as well. Okay, that's done. Non-smoking selectors, non-smoking signs, seatbelt signs are on. Auto rate control, we'll set it, and that's also done now. Landing altitude selector is set. Forward cabin temperature to auto, so let's set these to auto. Auto here, here, and here. All right. And flight deck cabin temperature controls to auto. All right, that's also done. Trim air switch is on. And then the recirculation fans are on. Pack control to auto. Isolation valves, we'll turn them on. Engine bleed air switches are on. APU bleed switch is on. Flight director switch is on, so we're going to move down to the glare shield now. Alright, so flight directors are on. VOR DME switch to auto, it's these switches here. And oxygen, we're going to test the oxygen. It's come over here. Oops. So there's the mask, and there is there we go. Alright, oxygen is checked. Crew oxygen pressure is fine. The RSS alarm flight instruments are checked. Verify that this is all fine. Upper ECAS display is fine. Secondary engine indications select. The secondary engine indications show existing conditions. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm just going to go ahead and say click. No exceedance is shown. Verify status. Computer selector to auto. Now this is the computer here, and it's set to auto. Decision height selector is checked. Terrain switch is checked. HSI range selector is checked. We need to turn the traffic and the left VHF communication panel, ADF panel, engine fire panel. Engine fire switches are in. Transponder panel, ILS panel. Let's check these real quick here. We can come over here and check the ILS panel. It's working just fine. And this is the transponder panel. We'll just do 2300 or so. APU fire switch is in, and right VHF control panel is checked. Okay, pre-flight not controlling, auto throttle. We're going to come over here again to the glare shield, and it says auto throttle arm switch is armed, so we're going to arm the auto throttle. Oxygen is verified. Auto land status, we can check it here, and it's just fine. Everything's working fine here, so that's checked. Attitude indicator caging pull, and that's done. Auto brake to rejected takeoff, that's set. Alternate stabilizer trim switches is checked. Flap lever is checked. Fuel control switch fire warning lights are checked. Terrain switch, this is for the other side, obviously. HSI traffic, this is the other side here, so we can just click this one here, and you can reset the checklist for this to turn green again. All right, before start procedure. So everything is looking good now. Actually, let me change the range here a bit, and we're going to turn this to map. There we go. All right, so let's take a look here. Before start procedure, takeoff thrust reference is checked. IS bugs are set. MCP altitude is not set yet, so we need to set that to our cruise altitude, which is 21,000 feet for this flight. And that's done now. ISMAX selector is checked. Arm LNAV as needed. So we're going to go ahead and arm LNAV. And initial heading, we can check that. Let's see here. Alright, so we need to set the heading bug to our initial heading, or the runway heading. And that's done. Initial altitude is done now. Front exterior doors. Alright, so we need to close the aircraft doors now. So we're going to go back to ground. We're going to dismiss the stairs, fuel truck, and passenger bus. And we'll go to the airplane, just say close all, and it should close all the doors now. And we're going to head back to our checklist. Right electric pump to auto. So let's go here. This is the right, and now the left. And then C1 and C2 electrical pumps, that's 1 and 2. We're going to now go ahead and center air pump switch is auto. Left and right fuel pumps, that is over here. And the red anti-collision light is turned on. Recall switch is right here. We're going to click that. And trim is checked. Now the trim is, let me check real quick here. Initial reference. So the trim is 2.2. So we're going to come down here and make sure it's set to 2.2. That's about right. That's how you set the trim. Okay, so the trim is set. And we can head over back to our checklist now and the trim. Okay, before start procedure is complete, and now we're ready for engine start. So before we do so, we are going to call the pushback truck. And we're going to better pushback and start the
Ground to
pushback.
cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
I've had some trouble with the pushback plugin for the aircraft, so I used the built-in pushback feature, which is, by the way, available through the iPad here. You can just say pushback and it will summon the ground services to push the aircraft. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get back to the engine start checklist, and we're going to start here. It says secondary engine indicators, select the pack control selectors are to the off position. We need to select this one here. Alright, so we're good now. Left engine start selector to ground. So we're going to start actually with the left engine. So ground, we're going to wait for N2 to increase to 15%. And that's how we can monitor it here. And then we're going to give it some fuel. So we're going to wait for 15% N2. And there we are, fuel. And now we're going to wait for idle. So we're just going to wait for the engine to start and reach its idle position, and then we're going to repeat the same steps for the right engine. The left engine is now stable, so we're going to go ahead and start the right engine. We're going to follow the same steps. So ground, and we're going to wait for 15% of N2. And we're going to give it some fuel. And while we do this, we can set the altimeter to 2985 or 1011 millibars. And we're going to click this screw here so that we sync the altimeters on both sides. So we click and we verify that the altimeter has been set on the other side. And now everything's set here, and we're just going to wait for the right engine to stabilize. Everything's looking good. Alright, so we are now ready for the before taxi checklist. APU selector is off, so we're going to come here, turn the APU selector off. Engine NTIs check, they are fine. Pack control selectors to auto. That's done. Isolation valves, where you need to close them. That's done. APU bleed air switch is off. Status display select, so we're going to select that here. Flap lever, we need flaps 5, so we'll set that. And that's checked. Transponder, and we're going to go ahead and set it now to TARA. Transponder check. Taxi lights, the taxi lights are down here. So we need to turn those guys on. Okay. Turn on if dark. That's fine. We're set. Do we need the logo light? Yeah, let's go ahead and turn on the logo light. That's fine. All right. Before taxi, now before takeoff. All right. So we're ready to taxi to the to the runway now, and APU generator is off. Yeah, that's fine. Everything's looking good. Why do we have this light still illuminated here? Alright, we'll worry about it once we reach the takeoff position. Let me release the parking brake, and we can remove the checklist now, and we can just give it a little bit of power here and taxi to the runway. By the way, the 757 by Flight Factor has received the same update in terms of the electronic flight bag. So you can use the charts, the Navigraph charts. Alright, so this is runway 23 left, which is our departing runway today. We're going to bring the aircraft to a complete stop. We're going to set the parking brake, and we're going to bring up the EFB again and consult the checklist. So before takeoff checklist, we need to turn off our taxi lights. So we'll come down here. I'm not sure why we're getting this. Alright, so we'll turn off the lights. While anti-collision is on. Wing lights, so these are the landing lights, beg your pardon, are on. And now we are pretty much ready to go. So parking brake we need to release, flaps 5, everything's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and engage VNAV as well. Release the parking brake, and let's give it some power. We can now remove the EFB. Actually, let me bring back the EFB, and we're going to go to the charts, and that's us right there. And let's take a look here. Yeah, let me set it this way. Yeah, doesn't block our view. And let's go. Alright, let's get lined up with the runway now.
On runway 23 left.
Okay, and we are now lined up with the runway. We'll give it some power. And toga. What's wrong with the toga there, but I'm just going to give it power myself. Alright, 125. Rotate. Rate of climb, and gears going up. And we'll maintain a 10-degree pitch here. As you can see, this is the moving map here. Alright, we can retract the flaps. Alright, we can now engage the autopilot. We don't need the wipers anymore. And we continue to climb to 21,000 feet. Really nice feature here. You can see how we're flying through the SID now. Right, we're approaching 10,000 feet. We can go ahead and turn off the landing lights. All's looking good now. By the way, in this video, I am using the X-Vision Immersive preset with the Lua script. I've noticed that there is a significant performance improvements in Beta 6. This is X-Plane 11.3 Beta 6. And Xvision just released a preset or an update to make Xvision work with this latest beta from X-Plane. Very nice clouds indeed. Alright, so I'm going to check back with you guys as soon as we level off at 21,000 feet. And we're going to actually very quickly have to prepare the aircraft for our approach, because this is an extremely short flight. So as soon as we reach the top of the climb, we're probably going to need to start beginning the preparation for our approach into so it's a really short flight, so we're going to have to begin preparing the aircraft for approach and landing pretty soon. So I'm going to let you guys enjoy the flight, and I'll check back with you as soon as we level off at 21,000 feet. Welcome back, folks. We are at 21,000 feet, which is our final cruise altitude today for this flight, and we are not too far from our top of descent point. So if we look here, about 65 nautical miles. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the ILS frequency for runway 07 right at Frankfurt, and we're going to come here to the initial reference, or approach reference, beg your pardon, and we're going to select flaps 25, and we're going to add 5 knots to the VREF speed. That gives us a final approach speed of 135 knots, so 25 degrees flaps and 135 knots. And we're just going to stick that there, and then we're going to grab the ILS frequency for runway 07 right, which is 110.95, and we're going to come over here and set it. So 110.95, 95 and 110, and the course is 067 degrees. 067 degrees. Okay. So all is good there, and what we need to do now is we need to check the approach plate, and we can do that, of course, through the 07 right. So we can dismiss this, and we're going to come back to the electronic flight pack, and we're going to go to the charts. Now we can select Frankfurt, there we go, and that's the approach. Let's see here. That's the ROLUS. That's our. That's the approach. 07 left. All right. So we need 07 right. And what we can do is come down here and take a look at the approach, or the platform altitude for runway 07 right, which is 4,000 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the MCP altitude to 4,000 feet, and at the top of descent point the aircraft should begin the automatic descent. 4,000 is set. Flaps are set for flaps 25 for the approach, with 135 knots for our approach speed. So everything's looking good, and we just wait now for the top of descent mark, at which point the aircraft will begin the automatic descent, and we're going to level off at 4,000 until established. Alright, enjoy the flight. I'll check back with you as soon as we begin the descent. As you can see, the aircraft has begun the automatic descent now to 4,000 feet, which is our platform altitude. All is looking good at the moment, and this is the chart. This is our star into Frankfurt. As you can see now, we have the moving map again. As soon as we enter the it starts from the transition. So we came this way, and now you can see that the aircraft is descending, and we're going to continue to descend. Let me check here. need to be above 8,000. Okay. So we are a bit too high at the moment, but we should be able to correct this as we progress. This is drag required. Let me check here real quick. Our speed looks fine. 275, that's the FMC speed. We're looking fine. And we continue our descent. Okay, so all is looking good now. I'm gonna start introducing some lights here into the cockpit. Alright, and we're gonna turn on the panel lights as well. Much better. We are now approaching 10,000 feet. We're at about 11,200. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take over here and I'm going to reduce our speed to 240 knots. Actually, let's go to 220. Right, and we're going to use the extend the speed brake to reduce our speed. We're going to keep the same descent rate, about 900 feet per minute. We're doing good in terms of our altitude. Alright, here we go. We can now retract the speed brake. And as you can see, we are approaching the 10,000 feet mark. The altimeter has been set to 29907 or 1,015 millibars. 10,000 feet, we're going to go ahead and turn on our landing lights. We are now beginning our final turn to intercept the ILS for runway 07 right at Frankfurt. There are a few scattered clouds in the area, nothing too serious. As you can see, here's the moving map, and this is us right there. And this is our final turn here. And this is Frankfurt. So all is looking good right now, and we are going to now reduce our speed to 180 knots. And we're going to extend flaps 5 once we reach a safe speed to extend our flaps. Speed check and flaps 1. And we are now approaching our platform altitude of 4,000 feet. We're going to maintain about 180 knots now and 4,000 until established. As you can see, the visibility is less than perfect here as we approach Frankfurt, but hopefully things will improve as we approach the airport. Alright, as you can see, the needle started moving here, so we are going to hit the approach button. And we are going to begin reducing our speed momentarily. Alright, here we go. We're going to reduce our speed to 150 knots. By the way, this flicker is from the strobe lights while traveling through clouds. I'm not sure why it happens this way, but there we go. So 150 knots, and we're going to go ahead and lower the landing gear now. And we're going to go to flaps 15. I think, there we go. Speed brakes are armed, and, ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. We're going to put auto brakes on 3. And we can now remove the EFB for a better view of the runway. We're still not looking, we're looking okay in terms of the glide slope and localizer, but I still can't see a thing. So here we go. Let's see what happens as we progress through our approach and landing into Frankfurt. We're not too far from the runway now. So about 10 nautical miles from the runway, and hopefully we'll be able to see the runway momentarily. We're descending now below 3,000 feet. There we go. Finally, we can see the runway ahead of us, and at this point, we're going to go ahead and reduce our speed to 140 knots, and we're going to go to flaps 20. And we can reduce our speed now to our approach speed of 135 knots, and we're going to go to flaps 25. Alright, so land 3 is active. I'm going to go ahead and disengage the autopilot. We don't have a disengage button here. Alright, so let's go ahead and disengage the autopilot here. And it's my plane now. And we're going to disconnect the auto throttle. And we're going to maintain the speed, which is...
Terrain.
Alright, here we go.
Approaching 07 right.
Right, get the glide slope there.
500.
Our speed is pretty high.
Minimums.
Glide slope.
100.
Glide slope. Glide slope.
50.
Glide
40.
slope.
30.
Glide slope.
20. 10.
And touchdown. I'm still trying to get used to this new throttle. Reversers are out. And manual braking. And welcome to Frankfurt. Right, we're going to make a turn here. And we're going to take a look at our landing momentarily. Alright, let's make a final stop right here. And let me set the parking brake. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at our landing. Well, folks, this brings us to the conclusion of our video today. I hope that this was a useful and insightful video. If you have any questions, please do post them in the comment section below. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.